Alright, let's take a look at what's new in version 1.2. In this version, I aimed to add some of the most requested items and features. Starting off, one of the most requested features is compatibility with better combat. Well, ask no more, as you can finally experience legendary Armory items with this mod. Next up, we have mobs, some of the most requested and definitely the most time consuming to add. If you're wondering what took so long, it was definitely taking the time to figure out how to code them, create the models, textures, and animations. There was a lot of work that had to be done. For now, these mobs are limited to certain structures in the mod and do not spawn naturally, but this could change in the future. So far, there are 4 mobs, but there of course are plans to add more. Shoutouts to whoever can name all of them in the comments. Starting off, we have Deku Scrubs, a weak projectile shooting mob with their appearance inspired by that of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. They come in 2 variants, the default, which is green, and the Mad variant being red. The Mad variant is the slower, tankier version. The default scrub is the weakest among the 2, and has 3 hearts, 8% knockback resistance, and each attack deals 2 hearts of damage. These guys can drop around 1 to 3 Deku Nuts when killed. The Mad variant is of course stronger, and has 6 hearts, 8% knockback resistance, 8 points of armor, and each attack, while slower, deals 4 hearts of damage. This variant drops 1 to 3 Deku Sticks. Now, if you find Deku Scrubs to be a pest to deal with, they are afraid of wolves, so if you don't want to deal with them, it's best to bring some dogs with you. Another tip for dealing with them is you're also able to reflect their shots, just like in Ocarina of Time. They also have a special interaction with the Deku Mask and Mask of Truth. For now, these mobs can only be found in the Note Ruins, which we'll be talking about later on. Next up, we have Keese. Taking design hints from Breath of the Wild, these enemies are better off swarming you than they are attacking you one-on-one. Once engaged, they'll begin to circle around you before attempting to dive bomb at you. As they're weak, they only have half a heart. They deal 1 damage and very low knockback on their attacks. So, being caught in a swarm can be a very bad time. For now, Keese can only spawn in chasms, but are intended to show up in future structures. Last but not least, we have Dark Nuts. Now, these armored foes are tough as nails and are considered a pretty good challenge. They do not spawn naturally and can only be found in chasms. They're as mysterious as they are tough. Their armor offers great protection. However, at the cost of this, these guys are slower than your average mob. They come in 2 variants, with Dark Nuts being the regular one with iron-based armor, and Dark Knights, which are even more powerful and function as a mini-boss, so to say. Dark Nuts are known for their slow attacks, so it's best to block their hit before countering. Moving on to their stats, Dark Nuts have 17.5 hearts, 3% knockback resistance, they deal 5 hearts of damage, have 5% knockback, and 10 points of armor. Meanwhile, Dark Knights have 27 hearts, 3% knockback resistance, deal 6 hearts of damage, they have 5% knockback, and 20 points of armor, making them quite tougher. Moving on to structures, there are 3 new ones added to the mod. Starting off, we have the Note Ruins. Now, these ruins contain powerful blocks that resonate with the Ocarina, a new item. Namely, these blocks are the Note Stone and the Sunstone, blocks which allow the Ocarina to play the Song of Storms and Sun Song respectively. This place is also home to the Deku, containing a fortress made up of 3 floors. Inside of it, you can find various wooded and Deku-themed items, such as Deku Nuts, Deku Sticks, Deku Leaves, the Tornado Rod, the Deku Shield, etc. Most importantly, the Ocarina is able to primarily be found here. If you look to the roof, you may even be able to find a heart piece rarely atop here. And maybe something secret even lurks below the surface. This structure can only spawn in plains and any forest biome. Moving on, we have the Arctic ruins, the frozen remains of a once greater structure. But what lies beneath the surface? If you travel down, you're able to see the inner workings of a much larger structure. Now, this structure is full of strays and drowned, and is designed as a mid-level dungeon, giving players a unique challenge and a better way to find some of the underwater and ice-related items. Here, you're able to find ice rods, ice arrows, silver and gold scales, the Zora tunic, flippers, iron boots, hook shots, and even heart pieces. Originally, you were only able to find ice rods in igloos or very rarely in ancient cities, which didn't quite feel fitting to me. This is hopefully a much more convenient and fun way to get some of these items. This structure can only spawn in ice spikes, snowy plains, or taiga biomes. The last structure for now are chasms. These are designed as tough endgame challenges for players to make use of all their skills and items they've gotten throughout the mod. Chasms contain gloom blocks, which can infect you with the gloom status, a status which prevents healing and damages you over time. This dungeon is primarily vertical, so I recommend having the paraglider, a deku leaf, or even just a bunch of blocks in order to climb your way down. Dark nuts, dark knights, and even keys spawn in this area, making it really tough. However, if you make your way inside, there is plenty of powerful loot, as well as new items such as gloom chunks, the all-new dark armor, which makes you immune to gloom weapons, and more. Seriously though, this dungeon is very hard, and I recommend having at least 15 hearts total or more before you even think about it. But speaking of new items, let's move on to the next section. Starting off with items, we have the most requested one, the ocarina. This item was so requested that it was actually the first thing I worked on for this update. Steve doesn't have perfect pitch, unlike Link. So to fit into the context of Minecraft, this item doesn't bring up a GUI like you'd expect. Instead, it's a context-sensitive item that triggers different effects depending on what you interact with. Time blocks trigger the Song of Time, allowing you to turn them transparent. The Note Stone causes the Song of Storms to play, changing the weather from stormy or back to normal. The Sunstone causes the Sun Song to play, causing the time of day to switch from day to night or vice versa. Owl statues play the Song of Soaring, allowing you to warp back to the last bed you slept in. Zelda stones and mask blocks play Zelda's Lullaby, activating the block and making it emit a redstone signal of 15. The Deku, Goron, and Zora graves cause the Song of Healing to play, causing the block to turn into the corresponding mask. And finally, by right-clicking horses, you can play Epona's song, giving the horse a small regeneration effect for a few seconds. Otherwise, you can just right-click to play a simple note. Next up, we have another requested item, the heart pieces. Collect 4 of these bad boys, and you'll be able to make yourself a heart container. Now, heart pieces have a chance to be found in most of the structures included in the mod, including but not limited to Node ruins, Arctic ruins, towers, link houses, abandoned houses, chasms, etc. Once you've got a heart container, you have to consume it to permanently increase your life by 1. You can do this to have a total of up to 20 hearts or plus 10. However, there's still a way to increase your life force even more. You're able to craft the Primo Heart Container, which is able to increase you up to a cool 30. If you find yourself having too many hearts and you want to go back down, you're able to craft the inverse of the heart container, the Gloom Container. By combining a piece of heart with gloom chunks, you're able to create this poisonous heart that lowers your maximum health by 1 after being consumed. The Dark Armor. This armor set makes you immune to the gloom effects, making it very useful while traversing chasms. At night, you will also be granted a speed bonus if you have the whole set on. This armor can rarely be found in ancient cities, chasms, or by crafting it with gloom chunks and the Kokiri set. Matching this, there are now 2 gloom-based weapons, the Gloom Sword and the Gloom Club. These weapons, while powerful, harm the user after every swing, so caution is needed while wielding them. These gloom weapons can only be found in chasms. Speaking of weapons, we have the Zelda 1 swords. Now, these swords are able to fire sword beams when you're at full health. This can be done by crouching and right-clicking. These swords, or at least the hero sword, can be found in dungeons, abandoned houses, and Link's house. These swords are also able to be upgraded. To start with, you'll need 15 hearts or more for the white sword, and to place it in one of the new blocks, the ancient sword pedestal. After this, to forge the magical sword, you'll need to place it in the ancient sword pedestal with 3 or less hearts. All of this can be found on the wiki in case you forget. The Kokiri armor can now be crafted from leather armor and the respective colored wool. Hylian trousers have been added to better fit the champion outfits from Breath of the Wild. These can be crafted with Kokiri pants and brown dye. Rounding out the champion outfits, we have the Hylian hood. This can be rarely found and crafted with the Kokiri hat and black wool. The archaic tunic, which can rarely be found in chasms. A new item, the balanced mirror shield. This mirror shield takes the appearance of that of the Wind Waker. This shield reflects all projectiles, unlike the normal version, which only reflects potions, wither skulls, and other non-physical projectiles. This can only be crafted with a Master Upgrade template, the regular mirror shield, and refined Master Ore in a smithing table. Finally, to end off the items, let's go over some changes made to existing items. The Claw Shot has a new model thanks to Totally Hakurai on Twitter. They did an excellent job and it feels really cool to use in game. The Paraglider is fully functional now and can be found rarely on top of towers. Next, we have changes to the Master Sword. I have heard your wishes, and now you are able to repair the Master Sword by placing it back into the pedestal if you have a total of 15 or more hearts. You are also able to enchant the true Master Sword by completing the quest to forge it. Doing so grants you Smite, Sweeping Edge, and Looting 3. Alright, moving on to blocks, and trust me, there are a lot. We have Time Bricks, which come in all the variants and can be crafted with stone bricks and blue dye. The rest can be made the way you'd expect. Time blocks are included in this set but are not craftable. These blocks are very durable and are best removed using the ocarina. The Sunstone is a block that cannot be crafted and again can only be found in Note Ruins. Note stones are similar in the fact that they can only be found in Note Ruins. Owl statues are small statues depicting an owl that cannot be crafted. However, they can be found in most structures, with quite a few in the mod being revamped to include them. The Ancient Sword Pedestal. This deep slate sword pedestal can be crafted with a sword pedestal surrounded by cobbled deep slate. This can be used to upgrade and enchant certain swords in the mod, namely the Gloom weapons and the Hero swords. Skystones are special blocks that can be found only in chasms. These blocks can be right-clicked to turn on, playing a small chime and increasing their light level. Next up, we have Pressure Switches, a redstone block that functions similarly to a pressure plate. These come in multiple variants, including Timed, which reset after 120 ticks, or Rusted, in which case you need heavy boots or the Goron mask to weigh them down. Either of these can be reset with a shovel item and are able to be crafted. Closing out the new blocks are Jars, which can be crafted with flower pots and the corresponding dye. These blocks can be right-clicked to store a stack of whatever item you're holding inside of them. When broken with a sword or projectile, they shatter, leaving their contents on the floor. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Suggestions are always welcome, so if you have any, please feel free to leave some in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for future updates. And there's a link to the mod and my Ko-fi in the description. Alright, see you next time.